Hey, my girl Brittany. My girl Brittany. Hey, girl, how you doing today, Brittany? You ready for this long weekend, Brittany? Ain't no school for the kiddos Monday. They get to sleep in, so that's a good thing. I just want some more people come in. I'm going to share the update, play some of the school from the shooting yesterday because I did find out some more updates from the school. Yeah. Yeah, you ready, Brittany? Yeah, Monday's the last day. Maybe I'll find something to do, Monday. And that's it. Just to get out of the house. That's the last day of, it's not the last day of summer. I don't know when the last day of summer, but um that's the last holiday for the summer. I'll put it like that. Yeah. Yep, 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 yep. Well, I did find out, Brittany, that um the shooter was transgender. The shooter was transgender. Um, his born name was Robert, and he changed his name to Robin. And the mother went with him back in 20 something and went with him to change his name. And I don't know if y'all remember yesterday when I was saying that normally when people shoot up a church or a school, it's always some ties there. They either normally there was a student there, or they knew somebody in the church, or they went to the church, or whatever the situation may be. I said that yesterday. I called it right. His mom worked at the church, guys. Hey, Auntie Tracy. His mom worked at the church. I told y'all yesterday it was some ties there. Didn't I say that? I said, y'all, I'm telling y'all, it's some ties with this boy. And it normally always is. When things like this happen, it's some ties there. So the mom did work there. He is transgender. Um, he did have a YouTube channel. The YouTube. Oh damn! Yeah, I should have. Oh girl, I talked to you when I finished. Yeah, I should have. People text me when I okay. Yeah, his mom did work there. Um, he did have a YouTube channel. He posted everything on his YouTube channel yesterday morning, right before he did the shooting yesterday morning. You will not find the channel anymore. The channel was taken down by YouTube. But they did get all the information off the channel, the FBI and all of that, the local authorities and all that. They got everything down. He left two letters. They did read the letters. I'm gonna play this video because I think it's in this video right here. Um, oh Lord, it was just so much, y'all. A little 8-year-old little boy, he cried out and said he was praying for his friend because he wanted to see his friend again. I think the little boy was 8 years old. The chat crazy yesterday because I was in another chat. It was like oh my god, it was like maybe close to over 2,000, 3,000 people in that chat I was in yesterday. That's why I got the updates from yesterday. And I'm like, what? Because I was confused when they kept saying his name is Robert. I'm like, what is they talking about? What? What? Wait a minute. What? So I'm in the chat at the people. I'm saying, y'all, are y'all saying that he was a girl and transferred over to a man? Because I didn't know what the fuck they was talking about. So the girl came back and said, no, D, they're saying that he is transgender He is a man, but dressed as a woman. And his real name was Robert, but he went by Robin. So that was his YouTube channel name too, y'all. Because I'm confused. Like, wait a minute, Robin and Robert. Like, what is going on here? Because they kept saying the YouTube channel, and they kept saying his name, so I was a little confused. But the chat was putting me update because I had just came into the chat. So they was like informing me and telling me, what was really going on and stuff like that. And he was saying that he didn't mean to, he didn't want to hurt nobody, but you did. But you did. You took innocent lives. And y'all, he also shot an 80-year-old woman in the head. And this is what I'm getting. This is what I heard. An 80-year-old woman. Okay? What a shame. He might as well have. I ain't got no sympathy for his motherfucking ass at all. So I'm going to play some of this video. Yes, Auntie Tracy, so sad. Like, so let me just play some of this.
Scope here of everyone descending upon this area. Annunciation Catholic School, again, such a tight-knit community for people in this Southwest Minneapolis neighborhood. Parents, we know you're worried, understandably so. We have been told, officials are telling us, go to 56th and Mount Olivet to pick up your children. And your hearts and your prayers go out to those kids, those families this morning. And we see news crews right there. We're trying to capture what is going on here to give you a firsthand view of what's going on. Our team is on top of it. We've been getting these calls from you, and we are trying to confirm new details here for you. If you're just joining us, I'm Brandy Powell alongside Matt Belanger, the governor, confirming a shooting at Annunciation Catholic School right by a church there. Again, I mentioned it earlier as we came on the air. This is a spot that's sort of quaint and classic in a lot of ways for people who live here. This is where they go pick up their Christmas trees, a huge lot right next to this school. Families here on the second day of school, and the situation continuing to get serious. Not only the Bureau of Criminal Apprehension, but we're getting word here, the governor confirming the FBI investigating.
Again,
okay, always got to be a commercial.
Brandy, I don't want to. I want to bring it back to what you're hearing, because I think it's so very powerful. That, I mean, you know some folks who are in this community, and you're hearing that they heard the shots. I mean, and that they gives you an idea.
For construction.
Yeah, I mean,
his name is Robin. Yeah, that was the name.
The scope of this incident, a firsthand account
like
of someone hearing that many gunshots to believe it was construction.
Robin.
That's incredible.
And, these kids, little kids, like I said, you see the little kids all the way up to the junior high, and, they have their uniforms on. And today, walking across with parents, a much different scene. This is typically a quiet area along right there where you see those flashing lights. That's where people are walking their dogs, parents pushing babies in strollers, people out for jogs. Authorities on scene right now.
Yeah, more and more indications coming into the newsroom. Again, these new pieces of information we're confirming, we're learning. The situation is escalating quickly here, where the Federal Bureau of Investigation, the FBI, now aware of what is happening right here in South Minneapolis. As you were looking live at those images, that's the live look at Diamond Lake Road, where this huge response to this shooting scene is playing out. I'm sorry, and if we can go back to that FBI social media post here, I do want to read that for folks, saying the FBI is aware of these reports coming out of Minneapolis. The agents are en route, and the FBI promising updates as more information is available. ATF has been mobilized, so federal officials now also alerted to this major shooting incident unfolding at this hour here, South Minneapolis. We understand the mayor confirming the shooting happened at Annunciation Catholic School A school of about 400 students, has students from pre-K up to 8th grade. And you're looking at that big emergency response. And no doubt, lots of confusion here at this scene as people are trying to figure out what's happening. Is there still danger in this area? And that is one of the very pressing questions that our news team is working to answer right now. If there is still any kind of a threat, is the situation resolved? You can see that they've blocked off our camera at a safe distance here, way off in the distance. You can make out the crime tape, but you can see that there's a huge area here along Diamond Lake Road at South Lindale that is impacted by this, and it's still a very active situation.
We are hearing now from authorities that there are multiple victims. It's emotional. I'm hearing from more friends who are in this area. This is an area I'm very familiar with. We are hearing from authorities now that there are multiple victims. We are hearing that the shooter has taken their own life. I'm hearing now again from friends in that area saying that they heard what appeared to be construction. Others saying they heard these gunshots and there would be a pause and then more gunshots. They're telling me they weren't sure if they were changing locations or whatnot, but these were people right in that area at the time that it was so loud. And again, they're saying there were gunshots, they heard a pause and then more gunshots. Another person I know saying they were just lying in bed with their pets and suddenly waking up to this. Multiple victims were learning at the scene, and also officials confirming that the shooter has taken his own life.
We had a different live view right there. Can we go back to that? Again, we're scrambling our resources. The whole 5 Eyewitness News newsroom is responding to this major breaking news unfolding here in South Minneapolis. This shooting at Annunciation Catholic Church with multiple victims at that school. And the person responsible, again, because one of the lingering questions was whether there is still an active threat. And we understand that the suspected shooter here took their own life. And so that is, again, these details just being confirmed. Bailey Hurley is live right in that area, live right near the scene, and is able to join us here. Bailey, what can you tell us about what you're seeing? Again, you're right there in the area as this is all unfolding around you. What can you see?
Matt, Brandy, this is a very chaotic scene. I've never really seen anything quite like this. We've seen a lot of families, a lot of parents driving as fast as they can on this road and parking, and then you watch them run as fast as they can up this hill. Right now, we know from the city of Minneapolis that if you are a parent of a child who goes to Annunciation or was at Annunciation Church when this happened, the reunification zone is now at Annunciation School. So we know from city officials that this happened at the church. If you need to be reunited with your child, you can do so at Annunciation School. Again, we've seen a lot of parents flying up this road to go find their children. A lot of people on the phone talking with their loved ones, trying to figure out those who got even closer to figure out when they can find their loved ones again. Again, more law enforcement showing up here by the second. We do know, Matt and Brandy, that from the city of Minneapolis, I know that you mentioned this just a minute ago, the shooter has been contained. Police saying that there is not a threat to the public anymore. Again, the shooter has been contained. Again, very large police presence here. We're being kept quite a ways away. Lots of families, though, making their way up this hill towards Annunciation Church and Annunciation School to try and get reunited with their loved ones. The SWAT team right now, if we can take this picture right here. We have the Bearcat showing up here now on the scene.
Want to teach your child maths but have no time?
Balancing home, work, and teaching my kid was a real struggle for me. I tried to.
Minneapolis police is here. I've seen officers here from across the metro. I've seen the
And Denise, I don't think you was in the chat when I said this, but yesterday I was saying that I think this guy has some type of connections with this church or this school, but come to find out he did have connections with this church. His mom worked in the church and he was transgender.
FBI here as well. I know that the FBI has been confirmed the lead investigation unit on this
And he also
scene
had a
here.
YouTube channel that was
Again,
taken
I've
down
never
yesterday.
seen quite a scene like this. We are being kept quite a ways back. This is still very active. The state patrol helicopter up in the air right now. Matt Brandy, the thing that I really just can't paint the picture of is these parents with
Yeah, he did.
the
He
looks on their
unalived
face.
himself. He's not alive. And they don't want to bring no traction to his name or anything. They don't want to do that, they said, but he did unalive himself. His real government name was Robert, but he changed his name to Robin because he was transgender. He did leave 2 notes behind. I think they're in this live right here. I'm going to scan through a little bit because it's like a little long one. I'm not going to stay on here all day. They did go to his mom's house, surround the mom home. They was taking out evidence, computers, or whatever they could find.
Pieces as they are, excuse me, running up this hill,
We understand.
hoping that they're going to find their babies.
The news reporter is
we're right there with you, Bailey. Bailey Hurley, in the middle of it, right there in this major breaking news unfolding in South Minneapolis.
And we're just getting word. This is Southwest Minneapolis here. We are just getting word that other Catholic schools are also on lockdown in the Twin Cities area. So at this hour, the ATF, the FBI, and the BCA are on scene. Word victims here, Richfield Police. Resetting here, a tough morning. We just went to Bailey Hurley, who was live at what she describes as a chaotic scene here, getting close to 9:41. I'm Brandy Powell here alongside Matt Belanger. This is Southwest Minneapolis. The governor confirming a shooting at Annunciation Catholic School. Richfield Police saying 20 victims. It was the first day of school just yesterday. So they're just starting this new school. This is little kids all the way up through middle school who are at Annunciation Catholic School, church nearby. And again, we are confirming now 20 victims. Parents at this hour are trying to find their students.
All right,
20 victims.
We're just being handed this information here. We'll go through it with you one step at a time. Again, continuing breaking news coverage of this major incident, this shooting at a Catholic school in South Minneapolis, just west of 35W. We've created this map so you can get an idea of where all of this is unfolding. And you've been looking at the live images there for the past half hour or so with us, right there along Diamond Lake Road at South Lindale, Annunciation Catholic School, so school of about 400 kids, pre-K to 8th grade. Richfield Police now confirming here, just handed this, that there was an active shooter call this morning. Officers reporting 20 victims, 20. And
it says a man dressed in all black and armed with a rifle was reported at that scene. And again, this is an area that I know so well, and I am hearing from people who I am close with who live in that area who said they heard those gunshots. It sounded, one person saying as if it was construction, another person telling me you would hear these loud gunshots, a pause, and more loud gunshots. 20 victims at this school, just the second day of school at this very close knit school.
And Richfield Police also saying, confirming again for us, we're getting information from multiple directions, but that the suspected shooter is no longer a threat.
Chosen, how you doing,
We've also
sweetie?
Heard reports here confirmed
Happy
that
Thursday.
that individual took their own life after this shooting incident here. If you're just turning on the TV, you caught wind of this big breaking news that's unfolding here this morning. Another live angle for you, another view here. Our 5 Eyewitness News cameras all around this scene in South Minneapolis now, where there has been a shooting at a Catholic school, Annunciation Catholic School on Diamond Lake Road, just west of 35W, happened about 8:30 this morning. That's when we started getting reports of the huge emergency and law enforcement response to that area. And we have seen the mayor arrive at this scene. Governor Tim Walz says he's aware of what's happening here. Federal officials, the FBI, the ATF, all being brought in to assist with this again. And the new information here is 20 people are involved in this shooting incident. That is the number being put on the situation by Richfield Police. They are saying 20 victims. Now, does that mean 20 people were shot and injured? We just don't know exactly what the police were working to get clarity on the extent of what they mean by using the word victims there. That's an important piece. We know if you're a parent of a child at this school, or even if you have children at other Catholic schools across the Twin Cities that we're hearing are being placed on lockdown. Again, it's a religious school, a Catholic school, other Catholic institutions across the Twin Cities taking proactive steps. Again, it's important to reiterate here that there is no longer a threat to the community. Police making that clear here that the shooter is no longer a threat. But we know that if you have a child at this school, you want information right now about reconnecting with your children, and many of them rushing to that scene, as we heard our Bailey Hurley report.
No doubt. And we're told that that shooter was a man dressed in black, armed with that rifle. And from people who were near that area. This, if I can describe here what you're looking at here, there are many side roads that are just off of Diamond Lake Road. If you get off 35W, it's a main exit there. Diamond Lake Road,
it's
it
very
goes
sad,
to
sis.
schools,
It is.
libraries,
Very.
and the church nearby, grocery stores, and then a residential
Mothers didn't
area.
sign up
Lots
for
of
this.
side
They
streets
sign
there.
up
You
to
can
take their
see a
kids to
live look
school
of
to
folks
learn.
out and about. Normally, these school children, I've seen them hundreds of times walking in their uniforms outside of Annunciation Catholic School, right next to that Catholic church there. Little ones all the way up to junior high students. Today, a much different story, as a short time ago, seen a parent walking out with two students dressed in those uniforms. A much different day today. Again, the ATF, FBI, BCA, even DHS, all of these major entities on scene right there. And there's another parent with their children right there. No doubt so relieved that they're okay. We're hearing 20 victims at this hour.
Okay, so we want to bring our Bailey Hurley back in. She's right there and we're working to reconnect with her signal. But as soon as we can, we're going to try to talk to Bailey, because one of the things that I want to get clarity on is exactly what parents of children at that school should be doing.
Exactly where to go.
Exactly where we want to get you that information and be as crystal clear about that as possible. And we know that that's top of mind. But again, I just want to remind everyone here of what we're hearing, this new information coming in from law enforcement about this breaking news here in South Minneapolis, that shooting at Annunciation Catholic School, 20 victims. That's the word police are using here at this hour. We're trying to get some more details from officials about exactly what that means. And we are told that there is no longer an ongoing threat to the community. However, you can expect the disruption from this huge incident that's unfolding. And there's the map for you so you can get the lay of the land. Diamond Lake right at South Lindale. You can expect the impact of this. You saw live all the law enforcement vehicles in the area, and again, federal officials being called in. The impact of this is going to be felt all day.
And it's just quite the sight. If we can go back to that live picture there, I'm not sure if we have a camera presence there along Diamond Lake Road, but this is a family area. The amount of times I've seen people just taking their jog, pushing their kids in strollers out for a walk with their dogs. Today, a stark contrast to what you typically see in that Southwest Minneapolis area. Annunciation Catholic School in their second day of classes. You see right there, people walking in that area. There's a student. I recognize those uniforms there, and you just have to wonder what was happening as a man, again, as Richfield police say, dressed in all black, armed with a rifle, came in. And I am hearing from people who live in that area who were saying it sounded as if it was construction.
Wow.
Others telling me they realized that there were gunshots, and then moments of pause, picked back up by more gunshots. That was this morning. These are from people who I know many people who've had their families, their kids go to this school, and these are people who witnessed this, who live right there nearby and heard What happened?
You can see, I mean, clearly, I mean, these images speak for themselves on your screen,
Oh,
right
look
here
right
this
there.
morning. Families being reunited,
The
parents
child.
getting their kids, and the word from the city of Minneapolis is, because I've been just trying to get clarity on exactly where parents should go. The city is saying that the families of children at that school, Annunciation Catholic School, should go to the reunification zone at the Annunciation School. So families in that community know what that means. They've no doubt been briefed on what that zone is, how they should respond in this type of emergency situation. And so it looks like, based on the live images that we're seeing there, families are reconnecting with their children, but just heartbreaking.
Saw that little one there, and presumably their father's arms, as we said, just, the little kids all the way up to middle school. We want to go back live right now to our Bailey Hurley. Bailey, you've been on scene for several minutes now, describing it as a chaotic scene. Walk us through what you're seeing in this moment.
Brady, Matt, we just spoke with a woman just a few minutes ago here. She says both her niece and her nephew go to Annunciation School. She says, thank God both of them are safe. She is working to go get reunited with them, but she has quite the story about all of this morning. She says her husband and her brother-in-law, so the father of those two children, again, her husband and her brother-in-law are both firefighters for the city of Minneapolis. They got that call this morning saying that there was a mass casualty situation at Annunciation Church and Annunciation School. She says they live so close. They just live down the hill here on East Diamond Lake Road. Has been ran out the door and ran to the school to try and get there and help as fast as he could, excuse me. She says, again, both her husband and her brother-in-law have now been here for most of the morning since this all started to unfold. Again, though, she emphasized she's so grateful that her loved ones are okay, both her niece and her nephew. And she says she just can't believe that this happened, let alone here in Minneapolis, but in this neighborhood. Brandy, you're talking about how familiar you are. This is my neighborhood too. It's quiet, it's quaint. Not to sound like very generalized, but this doesn't happen here. Again, very chaotic scene. We're a little bit closer than when we checked in with you last. You can see canine dog here now walking down the hill. Lots of officers from across the metro are here and continue to show up. We saw the Bearcat show up here just a bit ago. Lots of officers with their armor on, their long rifles out.
Hey, Auntie Renee.
The Minnesota State Patrol helicopter is still up in the air, flying overhead. Minneapolis Mayor Jacob Frey is here on the scene as well. We saw him show up about 30 minutes ago from the city of Minneapolis. Again, we do know there was this active police situation, and there continues to be at Annunciation Church. If you are watching this right now and you have a loved one who goes to the church, goes to the school, the reunification center is at Annunciation School, not at the church. I'm getting some word that we have a soundbite right now from a woman that I interviewed. If we can play that here right now.
My husband's a firefighter, and he got a phone call this morning and said that there was a incident at Annunciation. My niece and nephew go to school, so we live nearby, so he just took off on foot. And my brother-in-law is a firefighter too, and it's his kids that go to Annunciation. And thankfully, we heard about 15 minutes ago that they're safe. But it's so awful and it's so scary, and I just am really proud of my husband and my brother-in-law just running into the danger, and I just pray for the community.
Wow.
You can feel and hear the emotion in her voice, and
So
that
sad.
is truly what we've continued to see. I talked about it the last time we checked in, but we continue to see parents running up this hill, going to try and find their loved ones if their child is already out of the school and the church, and then bringing them back to their home or their vehicle. And then we'll continue to see Matt and Brandy families who are walking down the hill now with their children in their arms in those school uniforms. The emotions, I've never quite felt anything so heavy just in the air. It's chaotic. It's heavy. The folks here, everybody who's on the street, who are just watching, who live in this neighborhood, truly simply cannot believe that this is going on. And it continues to grow here. We're going to continue to try and get a little bit further up. And I believe try and get some more reaction from neighbors. We'll check back in with you very shortly here, Matt and Brady.
to hear from that parent there, that really gives you a sense, or it was the aunt of two of the students. But
let's listen to that again here.
My husband's a firefighter, and
Hold on, y'all.
Left on what the other 20 or 15 or so people, what their status is. We do know from the there's a threat to the public more, that the shooter has been contained. But I want to talk about a woman that I spoke with just a little bit ago. She says that she is an aunt. She lives just down the street.
I'm trying to get to some.
With their kids embracing so tightly. You, however, spoke with a mom just a short time ago, telling you that her son had been shot.
Yeah, and there wasn't much that, you could tell that her mind was just all over the place. I just said, I'm so sorry. She said her son was shot, and she said, I can't believe that someone would shoot at the school. Why would someone do this? She was a daughter who was also crying, and just, what can you do in that moment? They rushed inside of HCMC. Then later we saw a dad and his son sprinting inside the front doors. The son looked like he was wearing a uniform, so he may have also been a student, survived this mass shooting that happened. And we've seen other families who are just coming here crying. They're trying to figure out what is going on. And it's just a very heavy feeling here. People are wondering, who are in the community are wondering what's going on. We know for a little bit, the hospital was shut down for people to get to this front entrance to the emergency room because the deputy are kind of directing traffic here, but they have opened up this road right in front on 8th Street in front of HCMC. And we're still seeing some families come inside, as we just talked to the bishop who just walked inside again to provide some more comfort to those families. And like he said, they're just praying for the best for all of those victims.
Man, Kamaria, thank you for that. And with such a large incident, too, you have people going to multiple hospitals. So you have some headed to Hennepin County Medical Center, where Kamaria is right there, encountering parents of kids impacted, victims of this, right there at that hospital. And our news teams confirmed that Children's Minnesota has admitted 5 children who were hurt in this shooting to its Minneapolis hospital for care too. If you've been following along with us this morning, we're awaiting an update from city leaders, the mayor and the police chief of Minneapolis. That was set for 10:30 this morning. We haven't missed it. Don't worry. As soon as that begins, we will take you there. They've pushed that back slightly. They're asking for a little more time to get ready for that. So we'll be here with that and bring that to you live as soon as it begins.
Lots of moving parts. You can sense the urgency here. Our Ellen Gallus here with our live team coverage there, Ellen, on the scene. You have been seeing parents, families reuniting there. Walk us through what you're seeing, what you're hearing on the ground there right now.
Yeah, well, we are on the south area of the school right now, the southwest area of the school right now. And I can tell you, just within the past couple of minutes, the sidewalk and the area, the neighborhood has cleared out just a little bit. I think many people who are around here are walking just a few blocks over to where that city briefing will be held. A lot of people are walking just a few blocks away, hoping to get an update on this situation. But yes, as you mentioned, we've seen a lot of parents and caregivers reuniting with their kids here this morning. I mentioned earlier that even as I was driving to the scene from a few blocks away, you really got the sense that something was happening here. There was just a quiet and a mood in the neighborhood surrounding the school. Started seeing people clustering on street corners, parents gripping their kids' hands tightly, tear-streaked faces, people on their phone, probably trying to communicate with friends and families, giving them status updates and checking in on the safety of friends and loved ones. We spoke with parents, or stopped a few parents who said, they didn't want to talk, that they just didn't have words yet, which is understandable. We did end up talking to one mom and her daughter who had been safely reunited a few blocks away from the school. The mother told me she was actually at work. She works at another school, and her principal drove her here to the neighborhood, that she prayed the entire way. Her 5th grade daughter was inside in the building at that time and said that she heard the shots being fired. That 5th grader, her name was Clarissa. She also described led to a preschool classroom, things out. She said that she prayed the entire time with her classmate, and she said she was so grateful to see her mom. And she said she feels safe now. And she said she feels like God and her guardian angel were watching over her today. So just lots of emotions here in the neighborhood. Again, people still processing, people still confused, wanting to know exactly what happened, but definitely a sense of relief as we see these parents and these caregivers pick their kids up. Guys, back to you.
All right, Ellen Dallas, thank you for those updates. They are just hearing what people right there, those students in the middle of this mass shooting. It's just heartbreaking. We want to, if you're just joining us now, I'm Brandy Powell here alongside Matt Belanger. 8:30 this morning, just about, that's when this mass shooting occurred. There is a church and a school right next to each other there in Southwest Minneapolis, Annunciation, and we are told by Richfield police, this is right along the border of Richfield there, this part of Minneapolis, that there are 20 victims. Sadly, ABC News reporting from sources, at least 2 people are dead.
And with police telling us that a man dressed in all black had a rifle at this scene. And, we're working to get some more clarity on whether that man with the weapon went into the church or into the school, exactly where this unfolded. And we also are told here this morning that well, you heard from somebody who was in the area who heard all of the gunshots, mistaking it as construction
They
sounds.
said to me they thought it was construction, that the shots went on forever.
Wow.
Another person saying that they realized that they were gunshots and it seemed so loud, and then it would stop. And then after a pause, more shots. We're working to learn again.
It was like 100
there is a
rounds.
school and there is a church right next to each other. They're both part of Annunciation. Many times I've seen those little school children in their uniforms walking to that opening mass there. And we're trying to learn, which we will shortly hear, where those students were. Such a tight-knit community at this school, Matt.
Important to stress this morning, the word from officials is there's no ongoing threat, no ongoing danger to the community. And we've been covering as families have been reconnecting with the children there at that school. It's a pretty big school, about 400 students from pre-K, so the little ones all the way up to 8th grade. We've been seeing those reunions happening, and our hearts are, of course, with all of the families impacted, families of the 20 victims here. So again, that situation unfolding at hospitals across the Twin Cities. Some patients taken to Hennepin County Medical Center, others at Children's Minnesota and Minneapolis, as we understand. Again, no ongoing threat. We understand that the shooter, the suspected shooter involved in this situation, has taken his own life.
President Donald Trump has been briefed on this situation. New here on X posting, I have been fully briefed on the tragic shooting in Minneapolis, Minnesota. The president going on to say the FBI quickly responded and they are on the scene. The White House will continue to monitor this terrible situation. The president saying join him in praying for everyone involved, and the stark contrast here of some parents there able to reunite. If you are a parent, go to the reunification zone at the school. And then at HCMC, we're hearing our Camaria Bray speaking with a mother who told Camaria that her son had been shot. Again, meantime, Bailey and Ellen seeing some there embracing one another, and we're just getting new word about the victims, Matt.
So we've been reporting 5 children taken to Children's Minnesota and Minneapolis. That number's been updated just now, getting word to 6 children taken with injuries after this deadly mass shooting here at Annunciation Catholic School in South Minneapolis this morning. 6 children being treated at Children's Minnesota, the Minneapolis Hospital. And any moment, we're expecting an update. You can see in one of the live views we have, oh, look at the hugs there.
The embrace.
Live. Wow. At the bottom, that is the microphone where we're anticipating any moment this update from Minneapolis Mayor Jacob Fry, Minneapolis Police Chief Brian O'Hara, no doubt going to help provide some more insight into what investigators at this early stage, we're a little more than 2 hours or so into this incident here this morning, help us answer some of the ongoing questions that we have, maybe offer some insight into the extent of those other injuries. Again, policing 20 victims in this situation after this shooting, this school shooting at this Catholic school earlier this morning, and 2 people killed. That is the latest word from officials, but still a very fluid situation, no doubt.
No doubt.
And, yes.
No, you think of what the children were going through, and we heard from Ellen, who spoke with some, who said that some of the older kids shuttled over to where some of the younger kids are, trying to stay safe. Kamaria talking with a bishop there who is at HCMC, trying to offer some kind of comfort to those families. And this is the church and the school where that bishop was saying he grew up in. And I know from people who have their children at that school or whose children did go there that is what they do. This is such a tight-knit community, not only for the people who are there, but for the alum. And just to see that row of cars in the bottom right-hand corner of your screen there, I mean, that's just quite the sight. Typically, this is a spot where people are walking their dogs, taking a stroll with their children, not
quiet neighborhoods don't mean
fire
nothing no more.
trucks
That's
that we have
sometimes
seen,
what
police, the BCA,
really happening in
ATF,
the quiet
FBI. So
neighborhoods.
this is not just local authorities. We're talking about federal officials right now on scene at this mass shooting.
And it's a Catholic school. So this is a community that's really rooted in its faith. We've heard a lot of people talk this morning about prayer. We've heard Ellen was reporting about how she was hearing from some of the folks she's talked to. Again, she's right there at this scene about how folks in the school were huddled down in one of the rooms praying as this was all unfolding. Brandy, you've heard from folks who gave you firsthand accounts of the rounds of gunfire, so much of it that it was mistaken as construction sounds in the area. It really starts to give you an idea of the scope of this incident. Even the woman we heard from later, I don't know if we have it handy, but it was one of the earliest things we heard today from our Bailey Hurley. It was the woman who was a family member of a child at the school, and she was talking about how she is right now praying for all of the families impacted through all of this. And it sounds like our Brittany Ehrman is available now with another perspective here for us, right there by the crime scene team. You see the tape behind you, Brittany. What can you tell us from your perspective here at this story?
Matt and Brandy, it's a very active scene today. I just want to show you exactly what we're seeing here. There is Minneapolis Park Police. BCA is here. There are ambulances. There are also, of course, Minneapolis police here. We've seen canines walking around. We've seen investigators look up there where that grassy area is, trying to piece together what happened here. There are also a lot of concerned people standing here asking questions. A lot of people wanting answers tonight because this is tragic. There's a lot of fear. There's a lot of confusion. I just spoke to a neighbor, someone who lives 3 doors down from where this happened, and she tells me that she heard something that sounded like a carpenter, like construction. She was in her kitchen. It was just another weekday morning. She's cooking. She hears these sounds. She thought someone was doing construction, but we learned of this tragedy that happened 3 doors down. She also told me a story about a kid. We've seen a lot of children with their parents walking hand in hand. She says she came out and asked if she could hug them, and that child, rightfully so, just looked rattled. She was so scared. So there's a lot of pain, there's fear, and there's confusion, as I mentioned before here. Again, a very active scene here, a lot of different agencies. We've seen the investigation. Some neighbors telling me, it's kind of scary to see, dogs walking, the canine dogs, trying to investigate, trying to sniff out clues. We've seen crying parents. I, want to give these parents up here some privacy, but it appears there's a parent there who seems, distraught, rightfully so. And we really hope that she's okay. And we want to give them some privacy as well, because this is just heartbreaking. These people went to school. These kids, we remember, the first week of school going, the excitement, and for such a tragic thing to happen, it's heartbreaking, and it's difficult to wrap your heads around. Again, if you're just now joining us, very active scene here, investigation right off Garfield Avenue. We've seen the crime scene team here. BCA is investigating. There's so many agencies here. We've seen people walking around with rifles as well, and a lot of tears, a lot of sadness, and people just want answers. But of course, this is the early steps of the investigation. We may not get much now, but we'll be standing by as we get more information. But it's very active, a lot of fear, a lot of confusion, and we'll be right here as it unfolds.
Our Brittany Ehrman with that new perspective there, Brittany. And, you saw there that school, and again, as I was describing that school right by the church, and there are these steps. The number of times I have seen teachers walking the little students down the steps, or the older students walking down, going across the way to get something from that coffee shop there. And then today, to see those adults just embracing, sort of collapsing there, understandably so, in that grass after we are learning of this mass shooting. 20 victims, 2 people confirmed dead. We have people now at HCMC, also 6 children at Children's Minnesota. And we know that
over 80% of women who tried Black Girl vitamins said they saw positive health changes. Are you
so
ready
sad.
to feel better?
there was a man dressed in all black, armed with a rifle, reported at the scene. That's what we know at this hour. We were supposed to start hearing from the mayor and other officials at 10:30. No doubt right now it's an urgent situation. They want to make sure everything is accurate. We are still waiting on that update from authorities.
Just a very active situation. And I don't know if Brittany's camera is still available, but that she's right there in the area outside of one of the buildings, involved here. And just the image of seeing that woman collapse there on the grass as she's getting word of something terrible that has happened. And we can't control, the live scenes, of course, where we are and what we see on TV. But I know that if you saw that with me, I mean, that's sticking with me here this morning, because that is the real human impact.
The heartbreak of this is the second day of school. I mean, and Brittany described it so well, that excitement that every parent, teacher, student knows as you're going to begin something new, a much different story today. We have live team coverage this morning. I'm Brandy Powell alongside Matt Belanger here. Our Ellen Gallis, part of our 5 Eyewitness News team there on the ground. Ellen, you've been talking with families and students about what happened right during that mass shooting.
Yeah, that's right. I can tell you right now that we're on the southwest corner of the school. You can see this area is still taped off and blocked by ambulances and police cars. I will say this corner, this area has cleared out a lot in the past 15 or 20 minutes. A lot of the neighbors and families who were waiting here have moved over a few blocks away, waiting for that briefing from the city and the police department to get an update. You're right. As we mentioned, we've seen a lot of parents and caregivers out on the sidewalks today, on the street corners, as they rush to pick their kids up or have picked them up and are just gripping their kids' hands tightly. A lot of emotion, a lot of relief, a lot of confusion. I spoke with one mom who said she was rushing to get here. They had a reunification area for families and for kids. And she said she was rushing to the building and she saw all the kids lined up. And she said she was saying to herself, please let my daughter be there. Please let my daughter be there. Please let my daughter be one of the ones who's safe and in line. And she was. And by the time I talked to them, their overwhelming emotion was relief, and they felt grateful and they felt safe. You heard me say this earlier, but her daughter, who's only in 5th grade, said that they were taken to a preschool classroom and they spent the entire time praying. And that 5th grade girl said she knew God was watching over her today. And she said she felt like her guardian angel was watching over her today. So again, so much emotion out here in the neighborhood today. It is quiet. It is tense, and people are waiting to hear details of how this could have happened. Guys?
How this could have happened. And we've covered so long here these mass shootings across the country, and every parent, every student, every teacher hoping that it doesn't happen where they live. And of course, on this morning,
maybe
the second day of
these
school
kids
here
can have a
at
phone,
this
or
private Catholic
I don't know what
school
the
in
situation
Southwest
was
Minneapolis, the unthinkable has happened.
every parent knows
You just turn on the
that their
TV
kids
perhaps
take
and you join
phones
us
to
for our
school.
extended breaking news coverage here of this deadly mass shooting at the Annunciation Catholic Church and School in South Minneapolis, right on Diamond Lake Road. It's Kenny neighborhood, right to the west of 35W. We've been with you all morning here after this shooting has happened about 8:15, 8:30 or so in the morning during morning mass there at the school and church. And the facts of what we've confirmed so far are on your screen right now. It's the very latest for you. 2 people dead, 20 victims being identified at this point by officials. The FBI, ATF, all joining local law enforcement, BCAs on scene, Minneapolis police, and so many, countless other agencies involved in here. There's no ongoing threat to the community. That's important to mention. The suspected gunman here, who was dressed in all black, armed with a rifle, killed himself in this situation. And we're minutes away. What you're looking at is where we are awaiting an update. There at the bottom now. Minneapolis Mayor Jacob Frey and the police chief Brian O'Hara in Minneapolis. We're expecting an update soon from them on the situation, Brandy.
And many of you at home, you've been writing in, calling us, asking us what is going on. Our news team is covering all angles of this heartbreaking story, trying to find the answers for you. In that live team coverage is our Joe Mason. Joe, walk us through what you're seeing here. The Kenny neighborhood, this is a spot I'm very familiar with, seeing those kids so many times in those uniforms this morning. Such a different story. What have you learned at this moment?
Brandy, we arrived here at Children's Minnesota about 15 minutes ago. I walked into the waiting room at the emergency room. Very quiet, thankfully. Not a lot of activity there. I did see one father with two young children, a little boy and a little girl. The little girl was dressed in a school uniform. They had her backpack there. It looks like they were waiting for someone inside who's being treated. They were taken into the hospital when they opened up a play area for the children. So some of the families and some of the children here who are waiting for their loved ones, there are 6. We're told 6 children being treated here. Originally it came out 5. Now we have learned there are 6 children being treated here. So they've opened up a play area for these parents. And it's just hard to imagine thinking when they dropped off those children this morning that they would end up here at the hospital waiting for loved ones to be treated with their other children in that play area. I did talk to a spokesperson here at the hospital. She would not say what kind of conditions the children are in, but it's a very difficult day for that father. Just watching him walk in, you could see the pain and the suffering on his face as he was there sitting with his 2 other children, as likely another child was being treated. We did see some investigators, some Minneapolis police, Hennepin County Sheriff investigators arriving here. One had a notepad, had a pen ready. Looks like they were going in maybe to talk to any of the family members there, or maybe the children, if they're able to speak about what happened inside that church this morning. So very tense time here, but thankfully things have calmed down. Now it's the waiting and getting these kids treated and hopefully get back home soon. So that's the latest here from Children's Minnesota in Minneapolis. Back to you guys.
There's no doubt where our minds are right now with those 20 victims and their families. Joe Mason live there at Children's for us. And of course, that's not the only hospital involved here. We also have a crew at Hennepin County Medical Center, the big trauma hospital, of course, not far from this scene where we understand other patients have been taken. And our Maria Bray was there and said that she heard from mother who just quickly mentioned to Maria on the way into the hospital that her son had been shot in this incident at Annunciation Catholic Church and School this morning in South Minneapolis here. All of that unfolding about 8:15. And here we are approaching 11 o'clock. And we are expecting this update from Minneapolis Police and the mayor, Jacob Frey, any moment.
It's the phone call no parent wants to get. In this live view right here, just to the left side of your screen, that's where Annunciation Catholic School and Church are. There are some steps that come down the school. I've seen children dozens of times walking down there to go to those opening prayers at the start of the day. And we will be learning here in just a moment exactly what that is here. Minneapolis Mayor Jacob Frey there on scene with authorities, local and federal officials.
We're learning that update is just seconds away, so we're going to stay with you here until we get those leaders up to the microphone here and hopefully have a chance to get some answers to some of the outstanding questions here. You know, our Leah McLean's joining us now as we prepare to pass the baton on our continuing breaking news coverage. And Leah, I know you have kids in the Catholic school community. Was their school locked down today with this?
Yes. I got a notification from the school that the school my kids go to, not Annunciation, was having all the kids stay inside, going on lockdown. We do understand Mayor Jacob Frey has just shown up here and he's going to start talking.
There are no words
and we're going to listen in on what the mayor had to say here.
And the evil of this unspeakable act. Children are dead. their families that have a deceased child. You cannot put into words the gravity, the tragedy, or the absolute pain of this situation. We are a Minneapolis family.
Okay, baby, you always cooking, auntie.
But to everybody out there,
you be
do
getting
not
down in
think
that kitchen,
of
girl.
these as just somebody else's kids. Those families are suffering immense pain right now. Think of this as if it were your own.
Absolutely.
Every one of us needs to be wrapping our arms around these families, giving them every ounce that we can muster. These were Minneapolis families. These were American families. And the amount of pain that they are suffering right now is extraordinary. And don't just say this is about thoughts and prayers right now. These kids were literally praying. It was the first week of school. They were in a church. These are kids that should be learning with their friends. They should be playing on the playground. They should be able to go to school or church in peace without the fear or risk of violence, and their parents should have the same kind of assurance.
Amen.
These are the sort of basic assurances that every family should have every step of the day, regardless of where they are in our country.
That's right.
I'm so deeply saddened, and I'm so sorry to the families that I know are suffering right now. My ask is to everyone, stand by them.
Yes.
Love them.
Their families in prayer.
These families have forever been changed, and we've all been changed with them. We need to do everything possible to support them through this time. We have a family resource center that has been set up. I'm grateful for all of the law enforcement agencies from a number of different jurisdictions, all the different departmental support that we've received. They're going to be working tirelessly. There's also a family resource center that is being set up as we speak to make sure that we're there for everybody. Again, to the families that are suffering, to those that have experienced loss, I'm so deeply sorry. We're going to be with you every step of the way. We love you. This kind of act of evil should never happen, and it happens far too often. The chief will provide additional details.
My name is Brian O'Hara, BRIAN, O''HARA. I am the Minneapolis Police Chief. Earlier today, just before 8:30 a.m., our city experienced an unthinkable tragedy. Minneapolis police officers responded to a report of a shooting at a mass that was happening at the Annunciation Roman Catholic Church on the block behind me. This worship service was marking the first week of school for children that are attending the Annunciation Catholic School. During the mass, a gunman approached on the outside, on the side of the building, and began firing a rifle through the church windows towards the children sitting in the pews at the mass. Shooting through the windows, he struck children and worshipers that were inside the building. The shooter was armed with a rifle, a shotgun, and a pistol. This was a deliberate act of violence against innocent children and other people worshiping. The sheer cruelty and cowardice of firing into a church full of children is absolutely incomprehensible. Police officers from the Minneapolis Police Department immediately responded, entered the church, and attempted to provide first aid and rescue some of the children that were hiding throughout the building, while other first responders came and EMS responded to rush victims to nearby hospitals. 2 young children, ages 8 and 10, were killed where they sat in the pews. Their parents have been notified. 17 other people were injured. 14 of them being children. 2 of those children are in critical condition. The coward who fired these shots ultimately took his own life in the rear of the church. Our hearts are broken for the families who have lost their children, for these young lives that are now fighting to recover, and for our entire community that has been so deeply traumatized by this senseless attack. We will stand together to protect our children, our schools, and our houses of worship. This deliberate act of violence is just a sign of cruelty that is beyond comprehension. Our hearts are broken for everyone that's been affected by this tragedy. As we begin the difficult path of healing, I want the community to know this, that even in the face of such evil, the Minneapolis Police Department and all of our law enforcement partners stand with our community. We stand with these families and with this parish. We will continue to be here for you. With that, the investigation is obviously in its preliminary stages, and I will attempt to take some questions to provide further information.
Chief, what can you tell us about the suspect in this case? How old was he? Any kind of motivation? Any notes or any other indications?
So we were looking, the question was, what can be said about the shooter? We believe it is one suspect, a sole shooter. We believe he is deceased. He is in his early 20s, does not have an extensive known criminal history. And we are looking through information left behind to try and determine some type of motive. Yeah.
How many kids at the school? How many kids at the school?
How many children? I don't have an exact, the question was how many children at the school. There were dozens of children inside the mass at the time. I don't have an exact count. The children have been relocated into the school, which is where their families are reunifying with them.
Do we know if the shooter, other than the weapon,
Reg.
Was the shooter a student, former student? Was he a former employee? Do we know that?
The question was, do we know if the shooter was a former school employee or a former student? We don't have that information.
Did you leave anything behind other than the weapon?
There's a vehicle. The question was anything left behind? There's a vehicle that we believe that the suspect used that is being searched. And we will be conducting other searches related to this. Inside the parking lot here.
There was some neighbors who said that the door to the church had been barricaded.
Yep.
Is that correct?
So the question was, neighbors had said that the door to the church had been barricaded. The shooter approached on one side of the church building, and on that side, at least 2 doors, it appears there had been like a 2x4 placed. So not all of the doors around the building, but on the side where the shooter did fire.
And on the outside.
Wow. On the outside, yes.
And which side? The shooting related. Were there any explosives that were found?
The question was there any explosives? There were reports of that. There were no explosives or improvised devices that we found. I do believe there was one, I guess you would call it a smoke bomb, like not an explosive, but a sort of a firework that would release smoke.
And which side of the building? North, south, east, west?
The side that is closest to us, here, on this side. Yeah.
Was this incident related?
I don't have specific information on that I can release.
From a gunshot wound, the suspect?
The question was, is he dead from a gunshot wound? The answer is yes. We believe he took his own life in the parking lot.
Was this outside or both inside that he was shooting?
The question was he shooting outside and inside? He was absolutely shooting outside of the building, on the side of the church, inside through the windows. It appears he may have gone inside, but I don't believe we've located any casings inside the building. So I'm not certain if he fired also while inside. It appears, if not all, most of the shooting happened outside the building.
Chief, is this shooting related to any other shootings that happened in the last 24 hours?
Yeah, Taylor's asking, is this related to any of the other shootings? This does not appear to be related to any other shooting in the city.
Do you know approximately how many rounds were fired?
The question was how many rounds? I would say it's in the dozens. We don't have an exact count. There's a sidewalk on the outside as well as a grassy area. So obviously we are going through and taking our time to process the scene.
Was he firing just one weapon, like a rifle? Or?
The question was he firing one weapon? We believe he had fired all three. He had a rifle, a shotgun, and a pistol.
And yeah, just what them gunshots yesterday.
Were the weapons?
I think it said yesterday or right
carrying the
before the
weapons. I
shooting.
don't have that information,
Guns.
and I don't have any information on any significant criminal history either.
Was he dressed at all in any tactical type of gear or anything?
It appeared he had some black clothing on, his cargo type pants. I guess you could interpret that as, however you like.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for helping us to get the information out today. We have a lot more work that needs to be done. We will return back later today to provide more details as they become available, and we'll let you know how you can know about that in the moments to come. Thank you.
How can the public help?
You have been watching continuous coverage of this deadly shooting that happened at Annunciation Catholic Church this morning and school. This happened to school children as they were sitting in mass. This person, this suspect,
and able to provide us with really important information that, again, helped us to prepare for this event. So I don't have any individual or specific information about the patients at this time for you, so that's all I can share. Thank you for being here. Any questions?
So they were in critical condition?
7 as critical patients at this time. Again, I don't know the updates on what the conditions are of many of them. 4 of them required the operating room. As I said, there were, again, 9 of the 11 patients were pediatric ages. I can't remember the exact ages. I believe it's 6 all the way up to 14. That's the range.
Can you tell us a little bit about what types of teams you had working this morning, how many people it takes to treat a scene like that?
Yeah, whenever that type of a page goes out, again, it really puts into motion a lot of big response from all of the teams. And so because we're a level 1 trauma center, we have to, mobilize certain types of resources like, operating rooms and surgical services. We have to have emergency providers and nurses. We have to, mobilize things like the laboratory and the blood bank. So there's a lot of planning, and again, a lot of exercises we do throughout the year to prepare for these events. And unfortunately, we respond to many of them throughout the year.
Can you talk about the injuries at all, or any type of what you're seeing here with some of these patients?
I can't get into specifics, but we were dealing with gunshot wound injuries from apparently a high velocity weapon. And, gunshot wounds can be very problematic because they can involve multiple body systems. And again, they require a lot of resources to manage. But again, we see a lot of gunshot wounds here at Hennepin Healthcare, and we're among the best in the nation every year at managing penetrating trauma. So we are used to seeing them.
Does anyone tell us where the status of the 11? Are any of them still in surgery?
I don't know the status of it. I can't share that with you at this time.
Is anyone shot one of them?
I can't share that information with you at this time.
Even from the families of some of the victims that made their way here?
Yeah, we've had quite a bit of effort to stand up a unification center across the street here at our clinical specialty care building. And so to my knowledge, I believe almost all of the families and loved ones have been reunited with patients and know their status.
Do you know if anyone is being treated at any other locations?
My understanding was we had a lot of the non-critical patients that went to Children's Hospital, and I believe one went to Masonic Children's Hospital as well. I don't know the status of any of those patients.
Can you speak to the toll it takes on physicians here to handle these types of cases, like mass casualty cases within hours?
Yeah, it does take a toll. Thank you for asking that question. I think, again, we have psychologists that we have dedicated to our emergency department to help with our providers and nurses and other workers to manage these types of events. Again, we've had 2 mass casualty events happen in the last 24 hours. I mean, that does take a toll. But we also have to recognize that we are here as a critical resource for our community, and we have to take time to process, these the care that we deliver in these situations, and we have to be able to move forward because we are obviously needed.
None of those patients have been discharged.
Not to my knowledge.
You said there were 11 total, and 9 of them were pediatrics ages 6 to 14, and several in critical condition. Are all of those that are pediatric, those 6 to 14, are all of those in critical condition, or the ones that are older also in critical condition?
I don't want to misspeak here. I believe that all of the pediatric patients were the ones that were in a critical condition. Yes.
Did I get my number right?
You did.
Can you give us your specific title one more time, Doctor?
It's Thomas Wyatt. Yeah, Chair of Emergency Medicine at Hennepin Healthcare.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We've just been listening to the head of emergency medicine at Hennepin County Medical Center in Minneapolis, where we now understand that there are 11 pediatric patients, is how he described them, who are coming in. For those of you who are just joining us right now, we are covering breaking news, and this involves a shooting at Annunciation School and Church.
Let me skip through some of this. Hold on, y'all.
And said that there was a incident at Annunciation.
To bring us up to date with what you're learning about the suspect.
Okay, y'all, this is the part I want y'all to hear.
Imagine they would be. And some of these that
This
are
is the
believed to
guy.
be associated with the shooter in particular. There is a video that was posted just earlier today, posted on YouTube. And sources familiar with the matter are telling ABC News that in this video, it shows someone flipping through dozens of pages of notes. And those include what appear to be drawings of weapons. There's one drawing depicting inside of a church with pews. That is one of the things that's in there. One notebook has a sticker on that says, "Defend Equity." And there is a silhouette of a long gun with the words "Defend Equity." There's a sticker referencing a German band who was popular with the Columbine shooters. The band previously denounced any such violence, though. We did mention earlier when we checked in with our investigative reporter, Eric Rasmussen, less than a mile away from where the school and the church are. He is at the last known address of the suspected shooter who took his own life. And there are police, sheriff's deputies, BCA, FBI who are there. This investigation right now is getting started, and they are finding everything they can about this shooter who fired inside of this Catholic school, the Annunciation Catholic School in Minneapolis, from the outside through the windows. We heard about a young man, a 10-year-old boy, saying he was sitting next to a stained glass window as it was shattered, as shots were fired inside. So our team is working to learn more about this shooter. And again, these investigators, the professionals, jumping into action, quickly gathering everything they can and looking for a connection. This is a young man, 23 years old, looking for any connection to why this school, why this church, and why target these children.
And these are the things that I guess we will continue to find out more. Our investigative team is on it. And of course, law enforcement, the FBI. We heard from ABC's Pierre Thomas a short time ago. He's following this investigation from Washington, D.C. right now. And he talked about some of these shootings that he has covered before. And, you know, the thing about this one is that he didn't even walk inside the building, and you hear that, and it is just so hard to hear all of that. Our investigator, Eric Rasmussen, went out, has been at the scene of where this person lived over at 1st Street Avenue South and East 57th Street.
Our investigative team is working very hard right now. We're working to learn a lot more about the suspected shooter. We do want to go into our newsroom now where Ryan Raish is. Ryan, you are digging into the past, looking through these videos. We just talked about that YouTube video, and we want you to bring us up to date with what you're learning about the suspect.
Yeah, and that's what I want to get to. As you guys have mentioned, the suspected shooter is Robin Westman, and we can now report, according to court records, Robin identifies as a woman. The records show that she changed her name from Robert to Robin back in 2020. Again, police have said that the shooter took their own life right in the parking lot after this attack. what we are going through right now is what you just mentioned, is all these videos that have been posted on YouTube. We're sifting through all this right now. What I want to get to, though, and I will warn you, these are graphic videos that we're trying to be very sensitive as we figure out what we can report. What I want to show you is that one of those videos appears to be a manifesto of some type, and it was uploaded to YouTube yet this morning. We don't know the exact time frame, but it was some point this morning. If we can show the video, we have some of these pages up there. It's addressed to my family and friends. It starts with, "I don't expect forgiveness. I do apologize for the effects my actions will have on your lives." It goes on to say, "This will affect so many more people than the ones that are immediately involved." This writing goes on to say, quote, "I was corrupted by this world and have learned to hate what life is. Life is love. Life is pain. There is too much to accept, too many things to put up with just to live. I'm tired of the pain this world gives out." Much of this letter speaks to family and friends, but near the end it says, "I have waited for this for so long. I'm not well. I am not right. I'm a sad person, haunted by these thoughts that not go away. I know this is wrong, but I can't seem to stop myself. I'm severely depressed and have been suicidal for years. Only recently have I lost all hope and have decided to perform my final actions against this world." You can see it's signed, signed by Robin Westman there.
Ryan Raish reading this. Ryan, I know you have a daughter who is starting school right now, like so many of us do, and I can see that you are overcome by this.
Yeah, we all are. I mean, it's just the first day of school, it hits so hard. We're going to keep going through these videos. They're, as I mentioned, graphic videos. We're trying to be very careful and sensitive on how we show this and describe what it shows, because we know this is information parents and our viewers desperately want as we piece together this breaking story.
Okay.
Ryan, our hearts break with you. You and I think everybody watching right now.
Right.
I know you've been getting messages from people as well, and a lot of our friends and people we know through different organizations. And as I mentioned, as a mom who sends kids to Catholic school, people are crying around the Twin Cities. They're thinking of their own kids. They are holding them tight or waiting to pick them up this afternoon from school. And Ryan, we thank you for the hard work you're doing in bringing us information about the shooter, as we are working very hard to uncover all the details. But at the same time, as people who live in the community, who live in the city of Minneapolis, or people who have children who are going to school this week, have already started or preparing to start next week, it is a gut punch.
It really is. And you hear, as Ryan was talking through, you start to hear this. I don't know if it's a manifesto, if it's a suicide note. This note that he was reading through, as you listen to that, I mean, clearly a person that admits, "I'm not well, I'm suicidal," but the pain that they inflicted on everyone else, it just doesn't make sense.
Much will be said of this. Much will absolutely be said of this over the next couple of days, weeks, and months. We can be sure of that. Let's get back to talking about, though, how this immediately impacted the families, the victims who went to school at Annunciation, who go to school at Annunciation, the families who had just dropped their kids off as the morning was getting started. When the shooting happened around 8:30 this morning with the kids at Mass at Annunciation, we want to go back to Ellen Gallus. Ellen, Annunciation is right along 54th and Lyndale, right in that busy area of Minneapolis, a very active neighborhood, and it is still blocked off here at nearly 1 o'clock this afternoon.
Yeah, that's right. In fact, you can probably see behind me, there's still yellow police tape up. You can see the school over my shoulder. But the neighborhood
kids that really bother
delivering safe, clean, reliable, and affordable water to your family and ours.
is pretty quiet here right now after such a heartbreaking, emotional morning. As a parent myself, I can really relate to all the parents and caregivers I saw this morning rushing to the school, hoping for the best, hoping their kids would be okay. And then the hugs and the tears we saw once they were reunited. We spoke with a mother and a student shortly after they were reunited this morning. That student is fifth grader Clarissa Garcia, and she was inside the church at the time of the shooting. She said she heard the gunshots and she thought it was a firecracker going off. She told us what happened after that. Let's listen.
I was just like praying if everybody could be safe and like nobody would do this again.
That was fifth grader Clarissa Garcia. We also spoke with her mom, who I think we have a soundbite from back there that maybe we'll try and get to in a minute or two. But her mom said she was rushing. Her mom said that she was rushing to the school once she heard the news. And I think it sounds like we have that soundbite. We can go to it so we can listen to her describe the moment when she found her daughter and knew she was okay.
I just saw the kids exiting, so it's almost like a little parade of kids. I'm like just yelling out my daughter's name, Clarissa, Clarissa, where are you? Where are you? And one of her classmates said, she's here.
Again, that was Suzanne and Clarissa Garcia describing the scary moments that they experienced this morning. So many emotions out here, but again, their overwhelming emotion at the moment we talked to them, they were grateful. They were so grateful to be together, and they were grateful to be safe. Guys, back to you.
Okay. Ellen Gallus there in Minneapolis, right outside of the Annunciation School and Church where the shooting happened this morning, getting reaction from family members who are coming to terms with the tragedy at school this morning, just after kids got dropped off at school, 8:30 mass, when a gunman fired through the windows at dozens or hundreds of kids gathered, children between preschool and 8th grade, as teachers, staff members, parishioners were there gathering to celebrate Mass today.
Yeah, it is something that is so hard to come to grips with all of us. And, less than a mile away from where Ellen is standing, we have investigative reporter Eric Rasmussen. He is at the last known address of this gunman. And Eric, we just heard from our colleague, Ryan Raish, about this, and he read some of this letter, this manifesto, whatever it was, and it's just so difficult to hear it all.
It certainly is, Paul. And as you would imagine, some details of that video making its way around the neighborhood here, hitting neighbors very hard. Just to give you a sense of it, I'm standing here at South First Avenue and East 57th Street. You see the police tape. This is as far as we can go. This is a second scene, different from the school and the church where you heard from Ellen just a moment ago. We came here more than 2 hours ago now, following a tip that this was the last known address of the suspected shooter, who 5 Eyewitness News has since identified as 23-year-old Robin Westman. Want to show you a photo of Robin Westman now. Like you said, you heard my colleague Ryan Raish describing more about what we know of this suspected shooter at this time. But out here at the scene, I can take you back to it about 10:45 this morning. A photographer and I arrived here and saw an intense law enforcement focus on one of the homes here on South First Avenue. Again, public records all linked it back to the address of Robin Westman. And in talking to neighbors here, they say this was a family's home. When we first arrived, we recorded some video of a slightly older man and woman at the scene inside the police tape talking to law enforcement. Of course, we're not going to connect dots that we can't confirm, but neighbors all tell us a family lived here at the home in addition to Robin Westman. Really a variety of descriptions from neighbors about their interactions with Westman and the family. Some saying they kept to themselves, they didn't come to block parties. But I talked to another neighbor who literally said this was a non-violent kid, in their words. But like you said, news of all of this, the shooting, we're so close to the school and the church, plus the people who live here just steps away from the home of the suspected shooter. We talked to one of those people just a couple of hours ago, really, who not only is dealing with living so close to here and experiencing that trauma, but she has a son who just graduated from Annunciation. And she talked to us a little bit about how this is impacting her. Let's take a listen.
Explain it. A public school, I mean, we all are, it's a community. So it's impacting us, considering the fact that we watched all the families come walking out. I'm sorry, I'm shaking, I can't stop. And considering the fact the shooter's a half a block from where we all live. Oh, it's impactful.
So, of course, you hear the emotion in her voice for so many reasons here. She talked about this truly being a community that goes beyond the walls of the church and the school. But just to reset back out here at the scene of the home of the suspected shooter, photographer Lee and I have been here all morning now, going on more than 2 hours, and we've seen Minneapolis police, we've seen BCA investigators, we've seen the ATF out here. And as I look behind me, they are still here on scene, periodically coming and going inside of the house. As you can imagine, an investigation like this will require them to go through every last detail of evidence that they might find inside. So we're going to stay right here and continue to monitor this part of the investigation, and we'll keep you updated, of course, throughout the afternoon.
Eric Rasmussen, thank you. Standing outside what we believe is a home of the suspected shooter. Our team has been on the air with this breaking news, bringing you every detail as it comes out since 8:30 this morning, since all of this started. We have a team at Hennepin County Medical Center, at Children's Hospital in Minneapolis, where victims have been brought to both these locations. We have multiple reporters who showed up right away at 8:30 this morning and went to Annunciation Catholic School and Church in Minneapolis, where the shooting happened. Just as the kids were gathered for Mass right after school had started, the day just getting started, families were immediately called back in to come pick up their kids from school as they heard that this horrific shooting had just happened, with a shooter standing outside of the school, stained glass windows shattering, children protecting one another. We heard from a 10-year-old boy, a fifth grader, and he said that he watched as his friend was hit in the back. And then he said he thinks his friend kind of pushed him out of the way to help him. I mentioned earlier the bravery of the children, of the teachers who got those kids to get underneath pews, pulled them out. Some went to a preschool area in the building. Others were taken to a gym. But the adults there rushed in to make sure that those children could be safe. But we do know that 2 children were killed. There was an 8-year-old and a 10-year-old who died in the shooting at Annunciation Catholic School today.
You can just imagine the fear of those children waiting as they knew this was going on inside the where the Mass was taking place, inside the pews, by the pews. They were under the pews in all these places, and these children going through all of this. Our team is spread out across the scene of this. We have Eric Shalou. He is standing by near law enforcement and some of the vehicles and different folks that have responded to this. And Eric, the school is just right over your left shoulder there.
Yeah, Paul, this investigation continues at Annunciation School. We're at the corner here of 54th Street in South Lindale. You can see the law enforcement presence still here. Just saw Mayor Jacob Fry here a moment ago. He's been at the scene throughout the morning, getting updates and from his police department, Chief Brian O'Hara. Again, those shots rang out while the kids were inside of Mass for the first week of school. It was day number 2 for those kids. It goes from kindergarten all the way up to 8th grade. I saw some of those parents come to pick up their children, tears in their eyes, holding their hands. The most precious thing a dad told me was his son was with him. His boy was okay. You mentioned, we heard from Weston, the little boy who was inside there when those shots rang out. What a strong child to go through this, and thanking his buddy for maybe helping protect him, his buddy in the hospital. Back out here, you can see right as some of the scene starts to clear, those are members of the Minneapolis SWAT team getting ready to leave. We heard from Minneapolis Police Chief Brian O'Hara, who said that those officers got here to the scene and went in to the church where those children, staff, and teachers were to help them. We've seen the police here since 8:30 this morning. The investigation inside of the school, outside of the school. That's where Minneapolis Police Chief Brian O'Hara says they found about 24 shell casings from at least 3 weapons that the suspect used. Take a listen. Here's some interview we had with the police chief at a briefing late this morning.
This was a deliberate act of violence against innocent children and other people worshiping.
Hey, open book.
The sheer cruelty and cowardice of firing into a church full of children is absolutely incomprehensible.
So the investigation continues. Minneapolis leading the way, along with state partners from the Minnesota State Patrol. We've seen Hennepin County Sheriff's deputies here as well. The FBI, the ATF assisting in this investigation. Shortly after about 10 o'clock, we saw lots of canine officers that were deployed in the neighborhood helping with the investigation just to see if there might have been anything in those streets and in those alleyways. We also saw police officers going to homes believed to be asking some of those businesses and homeowners if they might have any security video they could really help police piece together from when that suspect arrived here at the scene. Those details, we're still working to get answers. A very fluid situation. We're expecting another update from police possibly later on this afternoon. We'll, of course, bring it to you live right here on 5 Eyewitness News and also on the KSDP mobile app. Just heartbreak in this community.
Yes,
we saw a man who doesn't know folks here, just stopping and bringing flowers and leaving them here at the scene. We saw staff coming out from the school, getting past the police tape and hugging. We saw them in prayer. But the eyes of those parents, I'll never forget, that got here to the scene and they found out that their child was okay. But then you think of those families that lost their two little ones, an 8-year-old and a 10-year-old. Developing story will stay on top of for you. That's the latest here in South Minneapolis. Back to you guys in the studio.
Eric Shalou there on the scene. Eric, bringing us the update. Thank you that we do expect to hear from Minneapolis police and investigators soon. The last time we heard from the city of Minneapolis Mayor Jacob Fry and from the police chief Brian O'Hara, over an hour ago, probably about 2 hours ago at this point, and the chief answering questions saying that they were working to learn everything they could about the suspect. In that time, we have learned more about the suspect who police say took his own life outside of the school in the parking lot, a self-inflicted gunshot wound. We understand this is 23-year-old Robin Westman. We understand this is someone who used to identify as Robert Westman. This person changed names in 2020. And I want to read you some of this letter that was found. Investigators and our team, our investigative unit, have been pouring through social media accounts and found a letter that was written shortly before the shooting. And part of it says this: I have wanted this for so long. I am not well. I am not right. I am a sad person, haunted by these thoughts that do not go away. I know this is wrong, but I can't seem to stop myself. I'm severely depressed and I've been suicidal for years. Only recently have I lost all hope and decided to perform my final action against this world. I don't want to kneel down for injustice in the world. I want to die.
Definitely some mental health.
This letter is long. I'm reading just a small part of it here. It starts with a message.
Just him up on the screen.
Robin writes to their
Robin
parents and continues on addressing siblings. And then it goes on for a couple more pages. And as you can imagine, investigators, including the FBI, they're going to be pouring through this, looking for clues about why this happened. They're also going through social media accounts. There is a YouTube video they're investigating. And of course, looking through even into the years past and what led up to this point today, where this person, a 23-year-old Robin Westman, stood outside of an elementary school, of a place that is where children gather, preschool to 8th grade kids gathering in the first week of school, 8:30 in the morning, first thing as they all get together to celebrate Mass
and the signs of mental illness
with the rest of the school day. And investigators are going to be searching for answers about why this happened, how this happened. I do want to make one other note. We did hear from a Catholic bishop, this is a Catholic school again, saying that Annunciation had made an effort to add security, knowing that school shootings happen, that sadly, this is something that has happened around the U.S. way too many times. And they took measures to add security to their school. But Police Chief Brian O'Hara spoke a little earlier saying that the suspect fired from outside of the area where the children had gathered in the church and fired inside through the windows. He also made a comment about some barricades that may have been put up. Now, there's going to be more investigation about that, but it was mentioned as some 2x4s put against some doors of that building in the area where the children gathered for the Mass. There was another comment about a smoke bomb that was discovered. Reporters were asking questions. They were saying, were there any other devices nearby? What else did the suspect have?
Because if he
And
lived
the
with
police
his
chief
mother,
said there was a smoke bomb they found. They do say that the shooter had three weapons, a shotgun, a rifle, and a pistol, and that this shooter used all 3 of those weapons, killing an 8-year-old and a 10-year-old child. Our team is working to get more information about the 2 children who were killed, young kids.
Every
Kids.
parent
8 and 10 years old, and a total of 20 people injured in this. The rest in the hospital, and this is difficult to read. It really gives no reason as to why this school
And there
this
is no
place,
reason to why.
and it's just very tragic and sad. And we have Bailey Hurley, who is out live and one of the first reporters that has been out there all day long. And Bailey, I think you saw firsthand all of these parents walking in and out of that school, rushing up to this school.
Like, what kind of shit his mother was on? Don't see nothing.
Yeah, Paula, Leah, it's images that I truly never will be able to get out of my mind. Those parents frantically parking their cars on sidewalks in the middle of the street, not caring if they're blocking a police officer from coming up here or not. Just running out of their cars, sometimes keys still in the ignition, running up this hill to get as close to the school as they could, if not to the school, hoping that they were going to reunite with their babies. And it was frantic. It was terrifying. It was devastating to watch. And then we did get some reprieve, though, as about an hour later, we started to see families starting to walk down the hill, holding their children so very tight, either in their arms or if there were multiple children, hands were clenched as they continued to walk down the hill to their homes or to their vehicles to go back home. I'm only imagining, as a mother myself, those children are not going to be anywhere outside of those parents' view anytime soon. You can see all the cameras that are set up behind me. Again, all of us waiting for another update from either Police Chief Brian O'Hara or Minneapolis City Mayor Jacob Fry. We also do know that the FBI is here, the ATF, the Minnesota DCA. So we could hear from those folks as well as we continue to learn more about the suspect and things that may have been left behind. We know that not only where Eric Rasmussen is right now, that home believed to be the last known address for the suspected shooter here, we also did learn from the police chief this morning that there was a vehicle that was parked outside of the school in the parking lot that was believed to be the suspected shooters as well. We know that they were combing through that early this morning as well, probably still are. Again, this scene continues to unfold. On the side that we're on right now, it is starting to dwindle a bit. But again, folks waiting here for more updates from officials expected anytime this afternoon. Leah Paul.
Okay, and we're just getting word from President Trump right now that flags have been ordered half staff across the country until the 31st. As we hear this information and we hear from different people who were there in these experiences,
That's so
and
nice
it
of
is
you,
just
Trump.
so tragic as you hear it. And then we heard from the ER doctor who was in charge over at HCMC as these kids were brought in. And 4 of them had to go immediately into the operating room. Thank goodness this is just 6 miles from the school, HCMC, where they could get to these kids. And they are the experts. They're Trauma One. They can handle it. We know at least 6 kids were also taken to Children's. They had lesser injuries. So it has really been one of those things. Our team continues to stay at the hospital, track what's going on there as well. And we just continue to find out more and more as the day progresses.
One child, we understand, has been discharged. A little bit of good
Right.
news in all this tragedy. You mentioned the president ordering flags at half staff. We are heartbroken here in Minnesota, here in the Twin Cities, in the city of Minneapolis. As we mentioned earlier, families are getting ready to send kids back to school. Some will go next week. A lot have already started. Watching the kids right now, you see a family. This was a family we heard from earlier, mom and dad showing up, picking up their daughter from school in her uniform at a Catholic school. And this will have such a big impact on us here in the Twin Cities and around the nation. We do want to get back out to our Kamaria Bray. She has been outside of Hennepin County Medical Center for most of the morning since this happened. Kamaria, you have spoken to multiple people, including family members of the children. You've been speaking to the medical staff. And I can imagine, Kamaria, you're probably hearing from other people who maybe aren't even involved, but see you out there and are shocked to hear about all of this, asking you for details.
Yeah, we're seeing a lot of mouths just dropping when people are hearing that these were children that were victims of a school shooting. And as calm and quiet as it seems outside of HCMC right now, it is a different case inside. We spoke to an uncle of an 8th grader who says inside the building, there are several parents that are in a frenzy. They're frantic, they're shocked, and they're hoping that their children pull through. HCMC says 10 patients were brought here from the school. That's 2 adults and 8 who are children ages 6 to 14 years old. And the man we talked to says that his nephew is an 8th grader. His nephew was shot in the stomach and is out of operation. He is recovering, but he remembers some heartbreaking details. And this is what he tells us.
The way he described what he witnessed, it rolled off his tongue effortlessly. Like he said, Uncle, there was a piece of flesh that flew past my face. You know, he said, I knew I was hit and I went down and scrunched, but within that process, I saw like a piece of flesh fly past my face. And he also witnessed a girl get shot in the head. I mean, he just said that effortlessly, like he was playing a video game.
He says there's going to be a long recovery for his nephew and so many other children beyond just the physical, also mental and emotional, the trauma that they just experienced. And parents are still here just trying to figure out what happened. We saw several parents running inside the building. A mom says that her son was shot. She was with her daughter. They were crying. We saw a man and his son. His son actually had a uniform on, so may also be a student at that school who may have survived this and is checking on a sibling here. We did also speak with a bishop who says that this happened during Mass and that he is here to comfort the several families that are here. But again, we're just working to get more information, and we're looking to speak to some more families, hoping that these children do pull through.
And Kamaria, I do want to ask you about that. You spoke to that bishop, talking about the challenges for the families, the waiting to find out, the trauma that they have experienced. And speaking to the medical team there at HCMC, they talked about how they're bringing in teams from their mental health units as well. And can you tell us more about how Hennepin County Medical Center is coming around and supporting families right now?
Yeah, they said there is a unification center here as well, and that they've had several team members coming together from blood banks to help support them. Again, we know that there are 10 patients that were brought here from the school, 2 adults, 8 that are kids from ages 6 to 14 years old, 4 needed operation. And when we talked to the chair of the emergency medical, he was talking about how this is just taking a toll on their staff. This is the second shooting, mass casualty shooting where they've had to deal with it within the second day. Remember, that was the situation that happened yesterday in Minneapolis as well, near East Lake Street. So they're also just shocked that they're having to deal with this back to back. And as far as that bishop who came here to pray and has been speaking with some of these families, I want to play a little bit of his sound as well.
Very sad, many in shock, disbelief of what has happened, especially during Mass. My understanding, it happened during the Mass. And one of the parents said they put in all kinds of security over the summer for the church, and look what happened.
The hospital says around 8:45 this morning, that is when they were given the heads up that there were going to be several patients here from the school. And we are told that if there is an update to any of their conditions that we will be finding out, they'll post something on social media or also send something to our newscast as well.
Okay, Kamaria Bray, we're going to stay on top of this all throughout the afternoon. We're going to bring you the information from our team of reporters, everybody on the ground out there. This is the time, and we've talked about this. This should be a wonderful time of year. School is starting for kids, going back to school, which should be great. There's still some summer break left for other kids. That should be great. The fair is going on, and that should be great. In fact, I ran into the director of the fair in the hallway coming out here, and she just gave me a hug, and she said, this is a terrible day. And it really is.
It really is.
Such unbelievable things have happened today, and we continue to hear from leaders and lawmakers across the country.
We do. And we do want to say that for those of you just joining us,
Go back to Washington, I'm going to be thinking about that bipartisan work that happened. I'm going to be calling for more action, but I'm also going to be trying to make sure that the good work that we did in that bipartisan gun safety bill doesn't get unraveled. even as we speak, some of those violence prevention efforts are being defunded by the Trump administration. And I'm not trying to be political here. I'm just saying that we do know some of the things that we can do to help address gun violence and gun safety. And we shouldn't be taking those strategies apart. We should be building on them right now.
Senator, what about here at home? Your constituents in the state of Minnesota, do you have any words of comfort, any words of sympathy to offer to the families at the school?
I want everybody who is a part of that school, Annunciation School is only a couple of miles from where Archie and I live in South Minneapolis. And I know that that school is the heart of the community, whether you go there or not. You have such a connection to that place and that building and that school. And so I want everyone in that neighborhood and really across Minnesota to say that this should be a moment where we're thinking about love for one another and not and pushing aside. This is a tipping point. Let's push aside this violence and this hate, and let's come together with more love.
Well, we certainly appreciate your thoughts, Senator Smith. And listen, we're going to continue to follow what's happening in Washington, and we're going to ask you more questions about what's happening up there, because something, as you have said, needs to be done. So I know we're looking to you to help us move all of that forward, and we really appreciate you taking the time to talk to us today.
Thank you.
All right, Senator, thank you. We have so many questions about the suspect right now. Our investigative reporter, Ryan Raish, has been sifting through some videos that were posted online under the suspected shooter's name, reading through a letter connected to the shooter. Ryan, we've got you live in the newsroom right now. Tell us more about what you're learning.
Yeah, so far from what we can tell, there are really two key videos that were posted on YouTube under Robin Westman's name. Again, Robin is identified as the suspected shooter. These videos have since been taken down, but I want to show you a couple key moments and a warning. These are graphic and upsetting, and we're doing our best here to try to bring you the information while also being sensitive to what just happened.
Ooh.
So if we can back up and show this soundbite, if you guys can hear me in the control room still, if we can back up and show the sound attached when the shooter is talking. Are you guys able to do that?
Tomorrow.
Wow.
I'm sorry to my family. But that's it. That's the only people I'm sorry to. Those kids.
Wow.
Obviously, really upsetting stuff. At one point, the person shows a smoke bomb, which we know from police that was also used during the attack. He also shows a black shirt. You see it right there, which also has a Minnesota patch. There it is right there, which police have also referenced. So much of this, you guys, matches what we've heard from police so far in this attack. Obviously, we have many more questions. Again, this is one of several videos posted on YouTube at some point this morning. We're not sure on the exact time of all this because, again, all of them have been taken down. We're going to go through all of these videos, try to pull out what we can and bring to you as we learn it.
Oh, Ryan Raish, this is awful.
Man, to see that and to hear that.
Bullets, rounds,
nothing.
profanity being used about children who became victims today.
Yeah. And Leah, as you pointed out earlier, the big question here is obviously motive and why this particular school. And there's about 20 minutes of video that I've gone through so far, different clips. I haven't seen yet a direct reference to the school. Why these kids? Here, the person is showing off the guns again. And the other question here, which I think you may have heard in that clip, is when was this filmed? When was it posted? There's a reference to tomorrow. So, we assume that it was filmed possibly yesterday. The data online shows this was posted sometime this morning. We don't know exactly when. We do know it was taken down around 11:30 this morning. We were able to grab that before it was taken down. But again, you guys have talked about it. The big question is why this school? Yeah. Obviously, he lived nearby. We think maybe a relative may have worked there previously. But there's still so many questions. Hopefully, we learn some more of this here in the next few minutes.
Ryan, this video, you said you've been through 20 minutes. How long is it?
So there's one clip about 10 minutes long, going through. It's very rambling. Some of it is in no tie to what's about to happen. And then there's another clip which is showing, you guys saw that letter or manifesto. There's another one that's similar to that, but it's in a totally different language until you get to at the very end where there's this map. You mentioned ABC News has kind of referenced this map, possibly of pews. We'll show that a little later on this afternoon. We're still going through that. That's about 5-10 minutes as well.
We're also seeing some symbols on there, and you and I may not be as well versed, but I know as FBI investigators are looking through all this.
There's a lot of clues in there. There's a lot of clues
there
for investigators to piece through.
An image of Jesus.
Yeah.
There. Ryan Raish, we thank you for going through all of this. I know you're going to continue to learn more information as we continue to try to figure out why Annunciation was the target. We do also want to let you know, for those of you joining us here this afternoon, that as our team is working together.
This is a lot, and I'm already to get up off
back home. So many things that are going on.
I try to bring y'all the most
Minnesotans will not step away.
the update that I could. I got tired.
On some of the audio in the ambulance that one of the people being taken was an elderly person that was shot in the head. So we're waiting on all of those conditions.
Updates on conditions for everyone. We are hearing that they are expected to survive. 2 children shot and killed, ages 8 and 10. Those children are not going home to their parents today. The rest of the victims are expected to pull through. Also notable in what we were just hearing is the Archbishop read a note from the Pope. We said that this is something impacting us so deeply here in the Twin Cities in Minneapolis. It's impacting people all around the U.S. And now Pope Leo, an American, said that he is sad to learn of the loss of life, sending condolences, and is expressing hope for the families who are now grieving the loss of a child. And here's that whole thing. He says his heartfelt condolences, that's what he's sending, and the assurance of spiritual closeness to all those affected by this terrible tragedy, especially the families who are now grieving the loss of a child. This is from the new Pope, the first American Pope who is from Chicago.
Okay, so as we hear from the Pope, some of the other questions that were brought up in this news conference is about this multiple page manifesto letter that was left behind. It was confirmed that this was left by 23-year-old Robin Westman. And one of the people who has been looking through all of this and videos of this is our investigative reporter, Ryan Raish. He has been digging into the suspect's past on this and really the trail of evidence that's been left online.
Ryan, fill us in on what else you've been finding.
Yeah, it's significant because the chief there for the first time today now has confirmed that this manifesto exists, and these videos were posted around the exact same time this morning on YouTube. They have since been taken down. There's about 20 minutes of videos posted on YouTube under the name Robin Westman, and we've been carefully going through these videos. I want to show you this one. One of them is this long journal written in another language, and I'm sure this will be helpful to investigators. But what I want to point out is what a at the resembling a church where this attack happened. The reported videos show some type of letter or manifesto addressed to family, friends, assortment of guns, and these go on for quite a while. I mean, 10-minute video. In this video you're watching here, the other video for 10 to 15 minutes. Some of it, a lot of it profane, and a lot of it, all of it unsettling, but much of it we can't really show on television. But something significant here now after that news conference, guys, is the chief confirming they believe the person filming is Westman. And so far that has, you assume that based on all the evidence and everything that's linking this person to those videos, some specific references like a smoke bomb. At one point they show that on camera, the smoke bomb, and that we heard this morning was left at the scene. And so there's so many of these different pieces that match the videos, which, I'm sure is helping investigators piece this all together right now. Guys.
Ryan Raish, I know you're digging through a lot of information right now. Do you want to make note that we're getting a lot of people who are watching? We've been on this person's past.
Yes, we should make it clear, and this has been reported throughout the day. Robin Westman used to go by the name Robert Westman. She changed that name through a court process. We have the court records around 2020. Her parents went with her to court to make that happen. So we know, or we have been getting a lot of tips, and we're going through all of those to try to piece together the past of Robin Westman. But as you heard the chief say, there is really no criminal record, and that we went down to court and ourselves. There is nothing there, nothing of note. So we're going to piece together this. Obviously, the online evidence, the YouTube videos that have since been taken down, we have those now in our possession before they were taken down, and we're going to still go through those and see if they provide any clues. But as I said earlier, there's no direct reference that explains, at least directly, what the motive was here, or why, or why today. All those questions we all have and one answered. Leah, Paul.
There are so many unanswered questions, but we continue to gather more things. And of course, the 5 Eyewitness News team, we are going to stick through this through every detail.
All right, y'all. That's it for me today. This was long. I want to, well, a lot of people left the chat anyway. So, they can finish watching it if they like. But the mom did used to work at the church. Yeah, the mom did used to work at the church. I don't know if she still worked there, but the mom did used to work at this church. But thank y'all guys for timing in. I appreciate y'all for the support, for timing in. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you, Brittany. Thank you, Open Book. Thank you, everybody, for timing in. I will see y'all next week. I don't think I'm going to go live tomorrow, but I will see you guys next week. If you'd like to buy me a coffee over the weekend, I will leave my coffee link in this video, and you can buy me a coffee if you'd like to support my channel. I appreciate you guys. I love you guys, and I will see you guys next week. Peace and love.